that they're worried about. There's a lot that they're talking about. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. Um, One thing that they were talking about is in their creating the voices for me, they were trying to make me like worry about things. And they said they don't think I actually heard the voices because now they realize that I never really responded to it the way they did. So one thing that someone in the people talking said is that it's possible that I don't have the same worries they did because we have different, you just said backgrounds, but I think also we have different ways of living. So one thing they said is a lot of the people who created this came from the countries, which goes to show when they kept trying to insist that we have the same upbringing, we didn't. They also are talking about the fact that maybe because I wasn't, they said they do it for Catholics. So they said, well, maybe because I wasn't Catholic, which goes to show that this couldn't have been the Catholic Church doing this. Now, I don't know, no one's mentioned during this whether any part of this is connected to a particular religion. So I'm not sure if when they first started, they wanted to make it seem like it was Catholic school, but a lot of things that they said didn't connect to Catholic beliefs. So that's where I'm confused. A lot of what they're saying is not making sense. So if they were Catholic, it would match Catholic beliefs, but it doesn't. It sounds more like they targeted people who went to Catholic. The other part of that is they want to prove that this was something that the Catholic Church, but they weren't able to. They haven't been able to prove that it's a Catholic Church. So what I'm saying is this. I think that when they were creating these voices and they made it for people who believed in certain things, they didn't make it for me. And one thing that they were talking about is when they were trying to make this something that I would think, because it's supposed to seem like synthetic telepathy. It's not supposed to seem like a bunch of people talking to you all day and night. It's supposed to be your own thoughts, how you feel about things. They were upset because they said it shows that I'm not telling them the stories, but the stories that they have aren't correct. And part of that is that I'm saying the stories they have are based on the people telling the story. It's more based on the storyteller than on me. And the storytellers, according to what people are talking, are saying, didn't like me. So they made all their stories negative towards me. Even if it was a positive story, they made it negative towards me. So what I'm saying is that you can tell they didn't like me. In order to keep this talking going, it became very negative. And I noticed in a lot of videos, I'm putting up the editing out when they call me the N-word, when they talk negatively about Italians, call, different people, different names. It's hypocritical. I know it when it comes from the Catholic Church. It wouldn't make sense because, the Vatican's in Italy. So a lot of what they're talking about to me is hypocritical. It's not based on what really happened. It's what they're saying is when they create these dreams, it's not supposed to be reality. So somebody, it seems years later, looked at the dreams because I guess they were on computers or something and thought it was based on reality. And now the people who started creating the dreams said, well, they wouldn't have taken these dreams as reality if they knew it wasn't. It's just confusion. But I think that's important for us to know that someone is looking into this stuff today based on things that they collected for decades, according to them. And if that's the case, I want to know what happened today for them to go back and look at this stuff. Who was storing it? They said the reason they broadcast it is because they didn't have, it would take, especially years ago, would take so much technology to store this stuff. So part of this is they said they wrote it down. Well, again, if you're writing something down, it's different from if it really happened and you're looking at a videotape. When someone's writing something, they're just going to write certain parts of it. So what they're saying is a lot of the things they accuse me of, when I was like in elementary school or as a child, they shouldn't have accused me of it. But what they did was they put it out loud, and it's lies. Another big example of that is, for example, it's like the person on Good Times when they were like, no, he was never called Booger. Oh no, yes, he was called Booger. So they said, they have a phrase called "take that off the list." So I'm going to title this live, "Take that off the list." So they don't want that on the list. But the fact that they kept arguing about it goes to show there's a problem. I'm just going to write this down for a second. I have to write down, different things now because when they're talking to me, I forget it. So the problem becomes, why was that even on the list? If I'm a little girl and they said probably I was definitely in elementary school, but probably I was very young to have talked about Good Times. So why are you worrying about something that happened when I was like a little girl? The other thing is they were arguing about whether or not I had the lyrics from Billie Jean, the Michael Jackson song, wrong. And when they're arguing about it, they're saying, well, the reason it matters is because if I'm wrong about something and they try to correct me, then I have a personality issue where I'm wrong about things, but I argue about them anyway. So they're saying that could have happened when I was just a little girl. So Billie Jean, I think, in New York, the radio stations used to play songs before the album was released, But even if we talk about the album, I think the album came out in 83, and I turned 10 in December of 83. So we're talking about a 9 or 10-year-old. Are we really going to look at me as a person because they said I messed up the lyrics as a 9 or 10-year-old? And this is part of the hypocrisy. So clearly the very same people who are talking about these things can't be accurate in what they're saying, yet at the same time they want the story to seem accurate. So now the argument with the Billie Jean song is that they said I argued that the Billie Jean song had the phrase, the chills, something about my spine, but that song lyric or something similar to it is in the song Thriller. So now we have the argument with them. Here we go. It's about arguing. Was the song Billie Jean or was it Thriller? If it's Thriller, then their story about me arguing and having the song lyrics wrong is wrong. But if the song is Billie Jean, then they said it could have been mixed because years ago, the songs, they used to sample songs. But also, I remember as a kid, they didn't like kids to sing along to lyrics that were from mature audiences. And so the idea of Michael Jackson singing about a woman having his child, they definitely would have switched the song. And I remember there was a radio kid-friendly version, and there wasn't. Now, I haven't been able to find all this out, but I've searched online, and some people kind of remember it. They've said that at the kids groups would sing it without those lyrics, that the kid is not my son. So I don't know. The other big deal is that right now what they're saying is that I'm getting this on my TV and my radio and on my internet, so maybe I'm not seeing the truth. I don't believe that part of it because a lot of what I'm seeing on my television and the internet and so forth is right. So the other point, so that goes back to that story. So the whole point was that they were trying to figure out, well, am I usually mistaken about things? And why can't I just take what they say instead of arguing with it? The other point I want to talk about is that as they're looking at what I'm looking at, because they can see my phone, And that's part of why I'm saying the surveillance isn't just affecting me, it's affecting anyone I interact with. They're angry because they expected my interactions with strangers on the internet would seem like it was when it seemed like close friendship because we don't know each other. So they could say, I met someone online. I haven't. I'm just interacting with strangers on the internet. And that's part of what I'm saying. This whole thing that they tried to create isn't based in reality. In reality, even though, people see me online, I could be completely different in person. I'm still a stranger on the internet, and that's pretty much what I'm trying to do. They thought I would create more of, a channel where we'll just the other thing is that for me, this is exactly that. For me, this is exactly that. This is something that I'm doing online. It's not, how they have that thing where you have an in real life versus online. That's part of this. They were upset because a while ago, I said I consider the people watching, this channel. And I said, but because of the stalkers, I can't, be as intimate, pretty much. I was pretty much saying. And I think most people understand that when you have stalkers, they're looking to create that intimacy with you. And that's part of why they stalk you. I couldn't do that because of this. So in what they're doing is they're upset by that because this was supposed to mean like suddenly they can connect to me online, they can use different screen names and usernames, and all of a sudden they could be like, oh, I'm connected to her. That's part of this. So I understand what their goal was, but because of this whole idea of having these stalkers, I can't allow them to have that, because the moment they create that connection to me as stalkers, they automatically want to change it into a real connection. So I'm going to let you guys listen. I'm going to close my eyes for a bit. I hope I sleep. I may not, but I'm just going to close my eyes for a little bit and let you listen to what's going on in this area.